The infographic final project. You finally made it. So this is where you're going to submit your final assignment. This might be the final assignment for you in grad school. I'm not sure, but I'll pause if you need a second to grab your tissues and wipe your tears. Okay, so the infographic final project, you can access the full rubric, so you obviously know what you are being graded on here. The full project is worth 250 points. One thing to know when you are uploading your final infographic, like I mentioned back in the first assignment, you want to make sure that you are actually uploading the file to your infographic, okay? If it is like a picture of your infographic and we can't see it because we can't zoom in, or if it's a link, but I can't access the link because it's under your name or it's disabled, or just make sure, absolutely sure, that we can access your final project here. Okay, so that's that first disclaimer. These are the areas that you will be rated on. So like we've been talking about in all these assignments leading up, you need to have a clear audience. So we need to know who your audience is, and then the content, the language, the information that you have should be well aligned with that audience. So if your audience is general public, you're not going to be using a lot of technical language. It's not going to be too convoluted. So make sure that it's matched. Your audience matches the content that you've provided. If you feel like your audience isn't clear on your infographic, like if it's not a part of your title or something like that, that's okay. But make sure you indicate it somewhere so you can submit your final project. And then as a comment, just make a comment to myself in the GSA that says, audience is teachers, audience is social workers, whatever it is, if you're not sure that it's clear just from looking at the infographic. Okay, so that's one of the first criteria. The next one will be the overall take-home message or call to action. So does your infographic have a purpose? Is it easy to see the point or the big picture or the main message that your infographic is trying to convey? Okay, so if it's just a bunch of random information or random facts about traumatic brain injury in general, that doesn't have a very specific point or take-home message to it. So make sure that that's clear in your infographic. The next criteria that you'll be rated on is supporting facts. So to receive full credit, you need to have at least 5 facts or details about your topic, and they need to be drawn from multiple sources. So remember, you're submitting at least 8 references to us. If you submit 8 references, but then you have an infographic that's really only using information from one source, that doesn't quite make sense. So make sure that you have facts and that you've gotten those from multiple places. These supporting facts should be well organized, they should be accurate, and persuasive. So make sure it's a fact or a detail that is kind of telling someone information, or maybe it's a compelling fact or something, not just people can get traumatic brain injuries. That's not a very compelling fact. And then just make sure you're taking out any extraneous or irrelevant information. We want to make the infographics very clear, very impactful. The next criteria that you'll be rated on is the design. So the overall design, you want something that is visually attractive, that it incorporates color and graphs and headers. It has sections, just in a way that is visually pleasing, that someone could easily look through, easily read through without difficulty, and they can get information from your infographic. Another design component that I want you to be aware of is blocks of information. So you need to have at least 3 separate, well-defined blocks of information. So it can't just be one big infographic blob of a lot of text or a lot of info. Try to put it in sections. So maybe one section is background and research. One section is what this means for me. And one section is where I can get more information. So you're organizing it in a way that not everything is just lumped into one spot. Okay, and then part of that blocks of information is also, like we talked about for the other one, is visuals. So you've organized your visuals in an effective way. Maybe each block of information has a different visual, again, so it's easy for someone to read and understand the message that you are trying to convey. The design colors are also important here. So with colors, also be thinking about font and font size. Well, not necessarily, but kind of. So your color scheme is important because you want to have colors that are really easy to view. So you want a high color contrast for someone that might benefit from that. If you have, a poor color contrast, or you have like really bright yellows with a really bright big font, it's going to be really hard to read, and that is not great. We want people to be able to see these. So you'll be rated there. Numerical data is another criteria that you'll be rated on. So we want some sort of numerical data on your infographic. So it could be a graph, it could be a graphic, it could be a phone number of a support line, it could be the number of people impacted by something, it could be be thinking about numbers in a creative way. Think about facts and figures. How many SLPs are trained to work with these people? Or, trying to find that. I think numbers can tell a good story. Obviously, if they have good context with them and the units and everything is clear, that will be something that you want to include on your infographic. References you will also be rated on, so you want to make sure that all of them are appropriately cited, which you did previously on one of your other assignments. And then you need to make sure that those references are easy to get to from the infographic. So whether that's a QR code or maybe like a tiny URL at the bottom of your infographic that someone could scan and then get to a full list of your references, that works. Sometimes people find a way to put their references really small at the bottom. That can work. Sometimes you can have a double-sided infographic, so your information is on page 1 and the back side has your references. That's okay too. I will say that if you are linking to your references, so say you have a Google Doc that's open for viewing from anyone, and you have a QR code to that Google Doc, that's great. That's a great way to do it. But make sure that that link is open to anyone with the link can view. Because again, if we're using this out in the world, if we're using it with the public, we want to make sure that that list of references is accessible to anyone who's doing that, not just someone with an ASU email or just someone that you've shared it with. Okay, and then access. So again, like I talked about at the beginning, just make sure that you've uploaded your infographic so we can actually open it up and we can see it. And I can download it if I need to. We have access to it. And then the last part that you'll be rated on are just that you proofread it, that it's error-free. So if you have a typo, sure, that happens. But if you have 2 to 3 typos or 4+ typos, those are the areas that you might be marked down on. So make sure that you are giving your infographic a final glance. Make sure you're having a couple friends take a final glance. It doesn't have to be someone in the class, but have somebody else who has a really, critical eye for things like that take a final look. All right, and as always, let me know if you have any questions. Happy to help. All right, congratulations.